Have you ever trusted someone so much that you never imagined they could hurt you? This is the story of David and Grace. A story about love, trust, secrets, and a single message that changed everything. David and Grace had been together for 3 years. To everyone around them, they were the perfect couple. They laughed together, prayed together, made plans for the future together. Whenever people saw them, they would say, "These two are definitely getting married." Grace believed it too. She loved David with all her heart. She trusted him completely. And that trust made her ignore the small warning signs, the late-night phone calls, the sudden need for privacy, the way David would quickly lock his phone whenever she walked into the room. Whenever Grace asked questions, David always had an answer. "You're overthinking. She's just a friend. Work has been stressful." And because she loved him, she believed him. One Saturday afternoon, Grace visited David unexpectedly. She wanted to surprise him with his favorite meal. When she arrived, David was taking a shower. His phone was lying on the table. Grace wasn't the type to check phones. In fact, she hated doing that. But then a notification appeared on the screen. A message from a contact named Sarah. The message read, "I miss you already. Last night was amazing." Grace froze. Her heart started beating faster. She stared at the screen. Surely there had to be an explanation. Maybe she was misunderstanding something. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But curiosity pushed her further. For the first time in her life, she opened David's phone. What she saw shattered her world. Hundreds of messages, photos, voice notes, conversations that had been going on for months. David wasn't just talking to Sarah. He was in a full relationship with her. The same promises he made to Grace, he was making to another woman. The same words, the same affection, the same future plans. Grace felt like the ground beneath her had disappeared. When David came out of the bathroom, he immediately noticed her expression. "What's wrong?" he asked. Grace held up the phone. Silence filled the room. David's face changed instantly. He knew. He had been caught. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, Grace asked, "How long?" David looked down. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of pretending. Half a year of betrayal. David began apologizing. He said it was a mistake. He said it didn't mean anything. He said he loved Grace. But Grace couldn't understand something. If it meant nothing, why did it continue for 6 months? Why were there plans? Why were there promises? Why were there lies? Some mistakes happen once. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice repeated over and over again. For the next few days, Grace barely slept. She cried constantly. Every memory suddenly felt fake. Every special moment now carried doubt. She replayed conversations in her head, looking for clues she had missed, searching for signs she had ignored. The betrayal wasn't just about another woman. It was about trust. Trust takes years to build, but only seconds to destroy. A week later, David begged to meet. Grace agreed. They sat across from each other at a quiet restaurant. David looked exhausted. For the first time, he seemed truly afraid. "I made the biggest mistake of my life," he said. "Please give me another chance." Grace listened quietly. Then she asked a question. "If I had done this to you, would you forgive me?" David remained silent, because deep down, he knew the answer. Sometimes people ask for forgiveness they would never give. Sometimes they expect understanding for actions they would never tolerate. And that realization hit David hard. For the first time, he understood the depth of the pain he had caused. Weeks passed. Grace focused on healing. She spent more time with family, more time with friends, more time rebuilding herself. At first, it wasn't easy. Every morning felt heavy. Every memory hurt. But little by little, she became stronger. She realized something important. Being alone was painful, but staying with someone who constantly betrayed her would be even more painful. Meanwhile, David's life began falling apart. Sarah discovered she wasn't the only woman either. She left him. Now he had lost both relationships. The lies that once seemed manageable had destroyed everything. And for the first time, He understood that actions have consequences. Real consequences. Not just temporary guilt. Not just uncomfortable conversations. But permanent losses. Months later, Grace received another message from David. It was simple. No begging. No excuses. No manipulation. Just one sentence. "I'm sorry for becoming the reason you stopped believing in us." Grace stared at the message for a long time. Then she put her phone away. Not because she hated him. Not because she wanted revenge. But because she had finally found peace. Some people think healing means forgetting. It doesn't. Healing means remembering without falling apart. It means accepting what happened without allowing it to control your future. It means choosing yourself when someone else fails to choose you. David became a lesson, not a destination. A chapter, not the entire story. And Grace learned something she would never forget. Love without trust cannot survive. No matter how strong the feelings are. No matter how beautiful the memories seem. Without honesty, relationships slowly collapse from the inside. If someone truly values you, they won't risk losing you for temporary excitement. They won't repeatedly choose deception. They won't build a future with you while secretly building another with someone else. Real love requires loyalty. Real love requires honesty. Real love requires consistency. And sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is walk away from someone they love because they finally realize they deserve better.